Welcome to Hawaii Matters, a Pacific Media Group community program. I'm your host, Kathy with a K. Our guest is Molly Schmidt, CEO of Pacific Islands region of the American Red Cross, based in Honolulu. Interim CEO, May 2025, full-time as of August. And we are talking story in September 2025. How did you come to the Hawaii Red Cross? Is it Hawaii Red Cross or is it Pacific Islands Red Cross?
Well, first of all, I want to say aloha and thank you for having me. It's a joy to be with you and your listeners because the Red Cross is really important. We are in every neighborhood, on every island. And to answer your question, it is both. The Pacific Islands region has a lot of territory. So we cover the whole state of Hawaii as a chapter. So all of the islands and all of the communities. And then we also cover Guam, Northern Marianas Islands, and American Samoa. Hence the Pacific Islands region. So we have different chapters. There's a Guam chapter, there's a Northern Marianas Islands chapter, and the Hawaii chapter. And so we make up the Pacific Islands. So Red Cross of Hawaii is accurate. We go by that a lot, and we have a long history in Hawaii.
Have you been able to travel to the other chapters?
Areas?
Yeah, the other areas.
Good question. Absolutely, yes. I've been to all the islands and everywhere. And in fact, I'm going back to the Guam chapter this Sunday. So we'll be there for an entire week. So want to make sure that I get out, support the teams. The Red Cross volunteers on all of those areas are doing incredibly important work for the community and want them to know that they're supported. We have a lot of resources. We have a lot of donors and just individuals who really care about community preparedness. One of the things I have done in the interim and during the official announcement was making sure that we were present, particularly through the Hawaiian Islands. Pretty much every week for the last 8 weeks have been doing vala'aus in different islands and different areas. And so we've been everywhere. And we're having our final vala'au for Oahu this Saturday, just before I go to Guam. And we've got a combination of partners, Red Cross volunteers, community people who are just interested in learning about the Red Cross, and of course our amazing team and staff who are so dedicated. We're going to talk story. We're going to vala'au. We're going to see what they need. We're going to look at gaps and where we want to go. And most importantly, I want to be able to share that continuity, the legacy of the Hawaii Red Cross, and the vision that we have for moving forward into the future.
You just heard from Molly Schmidt, CEO with Pacific Islands region of the American Red Cross. This is Hawaii Matters. I'm your host, Kathy with a K. Molly, what is your earliest memory of the American Red Cross?
That is great. My earliest memory is when I was a child. I'm going to date myself. I learned to swim with the American Red Cross in a local neighborhood pool and had summer swimming classes, water safety, lifeguard safety. I mean, I saw all of that. In my early adult years, I had the wonderful, blessed opportunity to go live overseas. And so I lived in Southeast Asia for 8 years. During that time, I was living in Bangkok, Thailand. That was 2004. So I'm going to put the dots together for some of your listeners. That was right at the Indian Ocean tsunami. And I was with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies at that time. The Red Cross movement is kind of like the UN, and it has 191 national societies. And the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies is the global version, and it operates in peacetime, not in war and conflict time. Being in Southeast Asia in Bangkok at that moment on December 26, 2004, when the Indian Ocean tsunami happened, in a matter of 15 minutes, the number is staggering. It's something like 240,000 lives were lost in 15 minutes from that tsunami across 18 countries. Being a part of the Red Cross movement at that point, it was profound, to say the least. There was so much grief. There was so much chaos. But in the beauty, actual beauty of what happened is going out into the Thai fishing villages or down in Indonesia, in Banda Aceh, We saw neighbors helping neighbors. I saw the power of the Red Cross at its very element, and that is humanity coming together. That is unity. That is impartiality. That is forgetting all of the differences and the commonality of there is human suffering and what needs to be done to alleviate human suffering. And that's the mission of the Red Cross. And so I had the privilege of being with the Federation in the IFRC in Southeast Asia, in that regional delegation, and collaborated with so many partners. I was young, I was pretty green, and I was thrust into a world of diplomatic situations, coordinating with UN agencies, WHO, other national societies, and the American Red Cross was one of those partner national societies that came in immediately, as well as Japanese Red Cross, Malaysia Red Crescent. Everybody came. How can we help? What can we do? And so there was a lot of coordination, and the IFRC was the coordinating seat. So that really was an unplanned experience that taught me how to listen. It taught me how to respect differences, and it taught me the power of what can really happen when we work together and we can amplify and add to everyone's resources to have a better outcome, a stronger, more sustainable, more resilient outcome than just being isolated and working alone.
You were talking about the volunteer aspect. American Red Cross is based on donors and the volunteers. Without the volunteers, the Red Cross cannot sustain. How is it that the Red Cross is able to encourage people to return natural disaster after emergency event? And I guess that's more so posed to you, Molly, because you said in a matter of 15 minutes, the devastation, but the marvel of the global community coming together. What brings you back to be of service for the larger goal?
The American Red Cross is dependent upon volunteers to be out in the community to deliver the mission. 90% of our workforce is volunteerism. 90%. So in the Pacific Islands region, we have 2,400 volunteers approximately at any given time across all of the areas. And we are a full-time staff of 33. That is a very small full-time staff number and a really large reliance on our volunteers who give so generously of their time. They're committed to the mission. They want to take training. They want to advance themselves. They're always looking for ways to serve. What can I do next? Yesterday, I was at a preparedness event, and one of our volunteers stood up in front of this wonderful community in Waikiki and talked about preparedness for a condo. That's a volunteer. They are skilled, they are talented, and those Red Crossers give with their heart. It's really incredible. The other aspect of where the American Red Cross relies upon is our generous donors, individuals, foundations, corporations. If you're looking for ways to get involved and to give, every little bit matters. You may think, oh, $10 is not very much. It matters when it's a meal to somebody. And so we are asking everyone to look to the Red Cross. If you're looking for ways to help the community, the Red Cross locally here in Hawaii relies on our donors, very generous, and our partners to help us move the mission. You mentioned an interesting point around people coming back over and over again to, we call it deploy. We have volunteers, and they will deploy to other disaster areas to help a sister community. So for example, this past year in 2024, we were really fortunate to be able to deploy 150 volunteers from our region, Hawaii and the Pacific Islands region, went to different areas. They went to volunteer for 2 weeks at a time to the LA fires, to North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, around Hurricane Milton and Helene. They went to St. Louis for the tornadoes. And they go because they have received training here in Hawaii around logistics, or sheltering. They know how to open and close a shelter. They have worked their way up and taken so many trainings that they're now a manager or a chief. As a volunteer, we entrust our volunteers to do so much to deliver the mission. And they do things that it's not just giving a blanket. They are giving hope to somebody in their darkest moment at a shelter. They are answering that phone call at 2 a.m. when there is a single family house fire and we need to go and work alongside our police and our fire departments to provide help and aid to those that just lost everything. So from large-scale disasters to small, everyday disasters, the American Red Cross is always there.
This is Hawaii Matters. I'm your host, Kathy with a K. We are talking Hawaii Red Cross with CEO Molly Schmidt, CEO of the American Red Cross Pacific Islands region, and that includes the Hawaiian Islands, Guam, American Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. The volunteer aspect, I thought about how somebody might be wondering, but what do the volunteers get out of it? And you were just saying the satisfaction of knowing that their neighbor is safe, that they can provide the information and that kind of leadership, that trusted vest, knowing that they are sharing the accurate information, that they are shared directly from the various agencies that come together. Hawaii Red Cross, I know that all the programs would be great. You said early on you got introduced to the American Red Cross, learning how to swim, like so many here in the islands too. Are there any programs that the Hawaii Red Cross wants the community to participate in or get certified for your household, for your office, for your school campus?
There are a lot of programs, and everything matters. There are so many programs that we want to be sure that everyone knows about, that they are accessible, they are free. And one of those that I think is of particular interest, we have a Red Cross Youth Club. They are in high schools, and they are a club format, and they do 3 community service projects a year. We just had our Red Cross Youth Club kickoff last weekend, but it's open year-round during the school. And so I really encourage youth, if you're looking for civic engagement, or if you're looking for ways to be involved, there are a lot of organizations, very worthy organizations in which to volunteer. The Red Cross is one of those that can carry across wherever you go in your life. And so I think that that is a wonderful way to build that civic engagement with our youth who have fabulous ideas, and they are going to be the ones that lead the next generation of humanitarian services. We also have several things that I think are very beneficial to the community. And one of those is our smoke alarm preparedness installation. Right. So smoke alarm installation, we partner with our fire departments and we partner with other organizations. We will install free smoke alarms. We like to target areas and communities that might need us most, kapuna, or those who have access needs and things like that, that could really benefit from our services, but they are for everyone, the free smoke alarm installations. And we come in and we install the smoke alarms for free. And then we sit around the kitchen table or the countertop and we talk about fire safety. We talk about escape routes. Do you have 2 ways out? Where is your meeting point? How do you know how to communicate with everybody? And so we really want to encourage those conversations. Once we leave, that family or those in the household will talk about what they need to do to be prepared. Hey, where's our go kit? What would we need? Do we already have it in the corner? Do we have one in our car? Those kind of everyday community preparedness conversations are things you never want to think about, and everyone says, yeah. And then when you need it, hopefully you've had that conversation or you have that emergency preparedness go kit, that grab bag with your essential items that might have things that are very pertinent to you or your family, your situation. If you have children, you have to think about diapers or feeding or bottles or toys. That favorite stuffed animal, when you are in the shelter, it is going to provide comfort. Think about those things. If you take medications, you want to think about those things as well. Or if you have pets, Pets are an extremely important part of everyone's everyday lives, and they are a part of your family. And so what would you need to do if you needed to quickly gather your pet and escape quickly out? Those are everyday messages for having a plan, having your bag, and knowing how to receive communication. We have an emergency Red Cross app that can be downloaded. The thing I love about the app, you can program in different zip codes. And then you can program from that zip code the radius that you want to be informed on. So I can do my work, I can do my home, I can do my children's schools, I can do Auntie's house, I can even do my grandmother's house in Texas. It is nationwide, so you can be alerted for different natural disasters. You can also then pinpoint and choose which natural disasters you want to be informed on, from everything from volcanic eruptions, hurricanes, tsunamis, flooding, earthquakes, all of those. So there are so many settings that you can customize it. So you're really getting the emergency information that you need when you need it. An alert goes off on your phone. You can check it. Okay, great. I need to call Grandma in Texas. Let me just make sure she's safe. Preparedness things that we can do every day to help our community be more resilient and be more safe for when the time comes.
How does the Hawaii Red Cross work in tandem with the city and county and Hawaii state?
Partnership is extremely important to us. When I started out at the beginning talking about collaboration and working together, it happens across all of our Hawaiian islands. And so the American Red Cross works in partnership with our federal, state, and our local authorities. And so at the county level, each of the county emergency management associations, agencies, they're the ones that lead in any response. And we are ancillary to them, and we work in partnership. And we are working with them for sheltering, for feeding, and for logistics, for supplies and things like that in order to help the emergency response in the county. We work at the state level as well with HIMA. Consistent collaboration, support, and communication are essential. They're essential for us because then the public is more aware, they're more prepared, and they're more informed. And then the end result is we save lives and we help people feel safe during disasters. They know where to go and what to do. Information is key. The Maui wildfires taught us a lot about working alongside those that have boots on the ground, that have deep roots in communities, and the Maui Red Cross office as well, right? And so how do we work together? A great example is with the Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. They work with fire-wise communities. They support defensible spaces around houses and buildings. And so our smoke alarm installation program works inside the house. We came together and that we realized we're inside the house doing the smoke alarm installations and having those conversations around preparedness, individual preparedness or for the family. And they are outside the house. What happens when we come together? It's more effective for the community. So we've partnered together and we come in as one. When we leave, that household feels more supported from that community support because we worked together. That's the power that I want to be sure that we continue to have going into the future, because that community resilience is receptive when people hear the message. It does not serve anybody. If the Red Cross was here last week and somebody else was here next week, it feels very disjointed. It's really upon us to work together and to collaborate so that we are collectively supporting the community better and more effectively. And we know we can do it. And we've seen actual proof of it.
You just heard from Molly Schmidt, American Red Cross Pacific Islands Region CEO. This is Hawaii Matters. I'm your host, Kathy with a K, and I really like how you remind us that American Red Cross, Hawaii Red Cross, it is a hub of information. It's better for yourself and your household when you actively participate to help yourself in case of emergency. One of the things I think about when there is a natural disaster, and Hawaii Red Cross is there with HIMA and City County of Honolulu Emergency Management Agency, HFD, EMS, HPD. Everyone's out in full force. And then there's someone out there, listening to the news or watching the news on social and saying, I want to go down and volunteer. Do you have people just showing up at the Red Cross office and saying, where do I volunteer? Here you need volunteers. You need to pre-plan ahead of that. That is good to have that enthusiasm. So before an emergency happens, Molly, how would you suggest people to use that same energy after the event has resolved to become a volunteer?
Being a volunteer is one of those precious gifts that no matter what skills you have, what your background is, what your age is, where you come from, if you want to volunteer, the spirit of volunteerism is at the heart of what the American Red Cross can do and is. And so we encourage everyone to volunteer. The volunteer process, you come through, you get lots of training, and then you decide where you want to use your skills best. And it might not be what you do in your day job or what you have done previously. You might want to try something new, or you might have a skill that you do want to bring and elevate. We welcome it all. And we are in need of volunteers. Everyday volunteers, whether you have an hour a week, whether you have a lot more time than that. And not every volunteer deploys. I want to be sure that is one of those things that those are the volunteers that have given a lot and want to give more. But if you remember, I said we have 2,400 volunteers and only 150 of those deployed to help other sister communities. So many of our volunteers are in all of our areas, all islands, and sometimes it's administrative. Sometimes it's, hey, I want to help drive that really cool Red Cross vehicle. Or, hey, I can help distribute water and blankets at a shelter. I can be a welcoming reception at an event. I can stand up and talk about community preparedness. Anything that you want to do in terms of giving back to the Red Cross that helps the community, we will find ways to work. We will find ways to work with you. So please come and volunteer with the Red Cross. We have so many needs. And the thing is, there are always so many needs. We will never really have enough volunteers. We will never really have enough resources because there's always need in the community and it is always evolving. And so it's incumbent upon us to keep being reactive, keep looking forward, keep working with our city, county, and state partners, and to keep making sure that we are meeting the needs where they're at, and our volunteers help us do that.
Molly, what or who brought the Hawaii Red Cross or American Red Cross Pacific Islands region to you, into your life?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I thought you were going to start with a little bit of the history of the Red Cross in Hawaii, which actually I would like to.
Yes. Yeah.
A really valuable lesson to reflect on the values that we have and the values of collaboration and cooperation, credibility. All of those things are rooted in the history of the Red Cross, and the history of the Red Cross of Hawaii really starts with Queen Lili'uokalani back in 1917. She, in her wisdom and compassion, wanted to bring the Red Cross movement to the islands. She really believed in the power of humanity. She was the absolute model of what it means to give and care. And in 1917, she had a membership drive, a volunteer drive. At that point, 1 in every 6 was a Red Cross volunteer. Now, they were maybe they were donating a little bit of money. Maybe they were volunteering their time. They were involved in Red Cross CPR classes or stitching together bandages. I mean, it was an incredible time. And then we've had so many instrumental people in the Red Cross of Hawaii history that have been really influential in our movement along the way. The story of a young Daniel Inouye, before he was senator, he was a junior Red Crosser. And the story goes that on the morning of the Pearl Harbor bombing, he grabbed some slices of bread, and he got on his bicycle, and he rode his bicycle to the nearest Red Cross office to volunteer. And he didn't come home for 4 days. And that, as you can read through his biography, was really instrumental in helping him give his path forward for service back to the community. John Henry Felix, who just passed away, is a very notable, legendary figure in the American Red Cross history. He would have received his 85 years of volunteer service, right? So every year, our volunteers get a pin starting at 5 years, 10 years, 20, 50. They go in increments of 5. And 85 years, his pin of volunteer service. And he has such a remarkable story with the Red Cross, such a generous person, very instrumental in making sure that people who had unmet needs were seen, were valued, and were welcomed into the fabric of their lives, right? He was the very first American Red Cross recipient of a global award called the Henri Dunant Award. The global movement recognizes humanitarian services for a single volunteer. And there have only been 2 American Red Cross recipients in the entire history, and he was the very first American Red Cross recipient of that Global Humanitarian Award. In our Red Cross chapter office off of Diamond Head Road, we have a display case with all of his pins. So every national society has a different pin, and he collected them everywhere he went. And it's this 3-tiered bookcase of all of his pins and memorabilia of the Red Cross. That, I have chicken skin thinking about it, is the power of humanity. It is that thread that reminds us that we are human and that we can do something to, again, neighbor helping neighbor. You had mentioned earlier about volunteers wanting to volunteer at the time of a disaster. While it is chaotic, we do welcome that. We welcome that spirit of, I want to help. What can I do? We have expedited pathways to help volunteers be able to give when and where they can, and we welcome that. Of course, we welcome longtime volunteers as well. We would love to have a through line and a pathway with you and can help guide anyone through how to volunteer with that spirit of volunteerism and to recognize them for their volunteer service through pins, through award ceremonies. We have a Heroes event every year in March. March is Red Cross Month. That's something we celebrate as the spirit of volunteerism. But those everyday volunteers that come to the Red Cross because of a disaster do help the workforce and the manpower because the need is so great. So for example, August 8th and August 9th of 2023, those 2 days, we saw 3,000 people come through our door in a matter of 2 days. Everyone is wanting to help. It was a little overwhelming, to be honest, because no one is ever prepared for that type of devastation and disaster. But we're committed to our volunteerism, committed to Maui, committed to the Red Cross in Maui, and committed to our partners, state and county officials, emergency management agencies, to make sure that we are able to meet the need. Those needs generally are around sheltering, feeding, basic necessities. When we take care of the human spirit and when we give of our spirit to somebody else who is in need, that compassion is such a way to fill your own cup, because you can bring your Red Cross training, but when you're interacting with somebody who is exhausted, who doesn't know where to turn, and then they turn to the American Red Cross, we can provide hope and we can provide direction. Sometimes we can provide financial assistance. Sometimes we can provide resources, but we will always provide a pathway to help that alleviate human suffering. That's the beauty of the Red Cross, and that we will be everywhere because we are in every community. Yes, we are a national Red Cross, and we do have a large national footprint. But the beauty of the Hawaii Red Cross or the Pacific Islands Red Cross, Guam Red Cross chapter, Northern Marianas Islands chapter in Saipan and those islands, is it's in the community. We are volunteers in the community. So it is from your neighborhood, from your bookstore. It might be one of your teachers. It might be one of your, one of the firemen. It might be just an everyday person who is looking to help and to give. So that power of bringing everyone together is really that spirit of the Red Cross that we hold so dearly.
Thank you to our guest, Molly Schmidt of the American Red Cross Pacific Islands region. To share or replay this episode, search Hawaii Matters where you stream podcasts. For Pacific Media Group, I'm Kathy with a K. Mahalo.